My name is Sarah Blake Morgan, and I'm a journalist. You really had no idea what that meant?
No, I was told I was born here.
From local television stations
He gone, the blood is over there on the ground, he dead.
to a global news organization. This AP NORC poll, my goal has always been the same, to tell someone's story.
He loves you, brother. Keep smiling for Jesus.
Whether it's a multi-episode docuseries spotlighting the relentless grip of addiction.
Do you care if you die?
I care because I have so many people that love me.
A first-of-its-kind Facebook Watch series aimed at bringing two sides together for tough but unifying conversations.
Do you think that I should be deported?
I certainly wouldn't want to single you or your family out, no, but I think that everybody that came illegally should have to go and reapply. You understand that you're asking for a favor from every American when you ask for that.
Yeah.
Live shots interrupted by tear gas.
Right, just about a few hundred feet from me, police lined up and right here.
And a mother's heartbreak.
I'm going to actually get my photographer to come back on me because this is a very private moment and I want to respect a victim and their family.
Or the countless stories that make a viewer stop and try to understand another human being's perspective, if only for a minute.
His face frames the city. Even in death, Fidel Castro's power hovers over the Cuban people.
Most of the time, it's just me, my camera, and the person who trusts me with their story.
That happened yesterday. I just want you to know I understand.
So it's my job to get out of the way and let them tell it.
I'll never get over it, ever.
Here are a few stories I'll never forget.
It came in the form of a neatly written letter, more than 3,000 words strung together on 15 pages. Together, they provide a voice for a man who's chosen not to have one for nearly 2 decades. The world watched as the star Carolina Panthers wide receiver morphed from a person people wanted to be
2 more days, I think I'll be fine.
into one they hated.
Federal agents arrested a somber Ray Caruth in western Tennessee after what could be the greatest fumble of his career.
The ultimate fall from grace landed the talented athlete a sentence of 18 to 24 years behind bars for conspiring to kill Sharika Adams, the mother of Caruth's unborn child.
Was shot 4 times in an allegedly pathetic scheme.
Luckily, none of the bullets hit the baby.
That baby is now a young man, and that young man, Chancellor Lee Adams, who has bright eyes and an infectious smile, is why Caruth says he's finally speaking out. Caruth's starting words thank Adams for the unconditional care, compassion, love, and support she's shown Chancellor from the beginning. The letter is to Miss Adams. Why not just send it to her?
Well, because in the past I've written Miss Adams. And most everything that I've said in the letter, I've actually said to her, starting with the apology.
After a shift as a barber at the Sampson Correctional Institution in eastern North Carolina, Ray Caruth called me to talk about why he's sharing his truth now.
I feel responsible for everything that happened, and I just want her to know that truly I am sorry for everything.
What exactly are you apologizing for?
I'm apologizing for the loss of her daughter. I'm apologizing for the impairment of my son.
Caruth wouldn't speak about the specifics of that night in 1999 when Sharika was shot 4 times by someone Caruth hired. But he does take responsibility for the actions that left his son without a mother and a father.
Of course, if I could change anything, I'd change the whole situation. His mother would still be here, and I wouldn't be where I'm at. So, that's what I would want to change. I would want to change for the incident to never have happened at all.
Caruth's letter offers not only an apology, but also an opportunity to push back on what he says are inaccurate narratives and headlines that have populated his story over the years. He knows his words may bring more anger and hate against him and writes, "I've long accepted my lot as the social pariah, but is setting the record straight to gain much-needed peace of mind." From the moment the story broke, we heard Sharika referred to as Caruth's girlfriend. In fact, this neighbor told WBTV at the time he heard her use that word to police.
She first said it was her husband, then she said it was her boyfriend that had shot her.
But Caruth says the two were practically strangers. According to him, they hooked up multiple times but were never in a relationship. He writes, "Never was Sharika under the illusion or delusion that I was ever going to propose marriage to her. Lust was the tie that bound us, not like or love, and neither one of us was ever guilty of believing anything contrary to this. Carruth admits he broached the subject of abortion when Shericka told him she might be pregnant. But he says he never brought it up again when she expressed her desire to keep the child that fought an uphill battle from the beginning. Because of the shooting orchestrated by his own father, Chancellor was born premature with a cerebral palsy diagnosis. Carruth has met his son twice in the early years of the boy's life, but even from prison, he's closely followed news stories documenting Chancellor's extraordinary progress.
What do you see when you see a picture or a video of Chancellor?
I see a kid that is filled with joy and happiness, and that makes me feel good. I see myself in him. I see his mother. I just see a kid that's not aware of the difficulties that he has. I can tell he's being loved. I can tell he's being well taken care of. I don't know. I just see a spirit that's capable of conquering any difficulties that come his way, and that makes me happy.
Recently, Adams has spoken publicly about her willingness to let Chancellor get to know his father, especially as his October release date approaches. Carruth says he wants nothing more and has even sent visitation forms to Adams but never received a response.
I feel like I owe Chancellor. I let him down as he came into this world, and the only way that I can make that right, the only way that I can reconcile my relationship with my son is to be there for him and to be a father and a dad to him going forward.
But Carruth's fatherly desires don't just stop at a relationship. He wants to eventually care for his son.
I should be raising my son. His mother should be raising her son. Miss Adams should not be doing this. And I want that responsibility back.
In the letter, Carruth writes, come on, Miss Adams. The reality is you aren't going to be around forever. At some point, someone else will have to be responsible for Chancellor's care.
And I feel like he might not ever have his mother in his life, but he could still have me, and I could still make a difference. And I just don't think that that's anybody else's responsibility when I'm still here.
But why would the man who's responsible for so much heartache deserve redemption? Carruth says he's found something he never had before.
Are you the same person that you were 20 years ago?
Absolutely not. I think back then I was very immature, very self-centered. When I first got incarcerated, I had to sit down and ask myself, how did this happen? How are you here? And the number one answer that I had was I didn't have a relationship with God. And I know some people might smirk or laugh about that, but I know now that I have a very real relationship with God, and that's changed the way that I see and view a lot of things.
17 years in prison has given him a lot of time to think.
I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that the choices that we make in life don't just affect us. They affect your loved ones, your family, the people around you. And that's something I didn't realize before.
In 8 months, Carruth will be a free man. Adams has said she'll be at the gates with Chancellor waiting for him, but Carruth wants to start building that relationship now. Ever the athlete, he ends the letter writing, "Ball is in your court. You and Chancellor take care and be blessed. Respectfully, Ray Carruth." Is it possible to be a patriot, to love a country before ever stepping on its soil? This man says unequivocally yes.
I am American now.
Booya Ghafouri proudly calls Charlotte, North Carolina home now, but his birthplace is a world away. Afghanistan, a beautiful country ravaged by unending war and the Taliban's unrelenting grip.
I said if I grow up, I will fight against them. And that was my dream, and the dream become true.
Booya is a smart man, speaking 5 languages, and the U.S. Army took notice, hiring him as a translator for the Special Forces Green Berets.
I said I joined the military. I'm trying to go to fight against the enemy. I said if I don't go, if nobody go to help, then who's gonna go? Who's gonna bring a peace in this country?
In Afghanistan, working for the U.S. isn't the most popular of professions.
Every day we are hearing that you're a traitor and you're not helping your people.
But for every Afghan who turned their backs on him, Booya gained an American brother.
We were all like a family, like a brother. We were like working together shoulder to shoulder and fighting against the enemy.
That brotherhood was pushed to its limits on April 6, 2008.
The worst mission that we have been faced, that was Shark Valley.
A seemingly impossible quest to capture a high-level target in the mountains of Afghanistan.
We're getting shot from every places because we got surrounded 360 degrees and we are receiving fire from everywhere. I couldn't control myself and I couldn't hold my tears. I looked at the captain and I said, we lost him.
His best friend and fellow translator CK, the only casualty on the U.S. side who, like Booyah, longed for a life in America.
He died for this country and he had a dream to come to the United States. He couldn't make it.
While CK never made it to the U.S., Booyah did, with his wife and 4 children. His Green Beret teammates helped him get here in 2014. The Purple Heart he earned after being injured while carrying wounded Americans to safety is proudly on display in his Charlotte living room. And yet this man has felt unwelcomed at times in the country he worked to protect.
We went to the grocery shop. They said, you're Muslim, and you guys are Al-Qaeda, and you guys are the terrorists. You guys are the one killing people. I just took my kids and my wife. I walked away.
He walked away because a few words from a stranger he fought for can't change this man's love for his new home.
They shouldn't judge the people by clothes. They shouldn't judge the people by color. Maybe they helped more than you. Maybe they did a lot of sacrifice for this country.
In Lee County, Alabama, early sunlight filters between snapped trees and crumbled structures. Here, James Baker feels the depression of Mother Nature's fierce grip.
It got dark, right? And then I said, Joe, I said, you hear that? That sounded like a train coming. I said, you hear that, Joe? And by that time, right? Boom!
Sunday's EF4 tornado, the deadliest to hit the United States in 6 years, blasted this rural community with winds up to 170 miles per hour, taking with it dozens of homes, countless irreplaceable belongings, and 23 lives. When your home is quite literally ripped off its foundation and everything you own scattered about like trash, where does one even begin to start over? I keep asking that question to the people here in Lee County, and almost everyone has the same answer, one piece at a time.
We just try to put the pieces back together and go on and just try and rebuild.
A day later, Carol Dean was in the middle of what was left of the home she shared with her husband, David.
Our son found him. He was done gone before we got to him.
Soulmate is how she describes the man who's now a memory.
He was the reason I lived, the reason I got up.
Sunday's tornado demolished this family's home. It swept AJ Hernandez and his brother from their father's arms. AJ was the youngest person killed.
He brightened up a room. And, you know, those are the memories that I want to keep of him. Because it makes me smile. You know, you asked me why I was crying, and I think of that smile, and it makes me smile.
When they see this, it just shows really what happened.
Miles away, 23 crosses honor the victims ages 6 to 89. Greg Zanis started building these memorials in the 1990s. His work has become a staple at tragedies across the country.
It's just trying to show our country something that isn't even the cross. It's that red heart on there. And it's oversized, you see that, it's prominent, but it's bringing in hope.
Hope.
Trying to start over.
And faith.
I'm blessed to be alive. It ain't no luck.
Two things the people of Lee County, Alabama won't let this storm take away. Sarah Blake Morgan, The Associated Press.